Russel Norman. Order. Order. The member, Dr. Russel Norman, has every right to ask a question.
Tanakwe, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by all his government's policies?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he stand by his government's economic strategy to focus on expanding simple commodity exports, such as milk powder, raw logs and minerals, a pollution-based economy, rather than investing in research, science and development to create a smarter, greener economy?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member is really away with the fairies, if that's what he believes, because in every single budget since 2009, this government has increased its expenditure in science. This year alone, we're spending $1.5 billion in that area, and in fact, the science and high-tech area is growing rapidly under a national-led government, Mr. Speaker. So if the member thinks that we're solely a commodity-based economy, he needs to get his head out of the clouds and look at what's actually happening around New Zealand. What I do know is when he goes around New Zealand and implements the sorts of policies he would like to do, he'll be sending most New Zealand workers to the dole queue, and I'll be pointing that out to them over the course of the next 60 days.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why is his government planning to cut government spending in science and research by over 10% in real terms over the next 3 years?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member is making it up.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Has the Prime Minister actually read the draft national statement of science investment, which the government just issued for the Prime Minister's benefit, which says that government investment will be dropping from $1.4 billion in 2014-15 to $1.35 billion in 2017-18 in nominal terms, which in real terms is a cut of 10% in 3 years?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member is misinterpreting the data. The correct data represents what I've been saying, that the government has been increasing expenditure in science and technology every year, even in the worst of the financial conditions we've been doing that, and that's why you're seeing some of the stellar results that are being delivered around the country.
Point of order.
Point of order, Dr. Russel Norman.
I seek leave to table a document from the Parliamentary Library showing government investment in science to drop by 10% in real terms over 3 years and 21% in real terms over 9.
The document's now been satisfactorily described. I'll put the leave is sought to table. Does the member want to speak to the point of order?
I'm just interested to know, Mr. Speaker, what that data is from. He says data.
Order. The member's described it. It's now over to the House. It was information prepared by the Parliamentary Library. Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does New Zealand's prosperity lie in selling more milk powder and polluting more rivers, or does prosperity lie in investing in people and smart green innovation, something which the government is cutting according to their own documents?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in relation to the last point, the member's wrong, and he knows he's wrong. In relation to the earlier points, Mr. Speaker, in fact, New Zealand's prosperity lies in doing a combination of lots of things. There will be an increasing demand, I suspect, around the world, and particularly from Asian nations, for continued commodities from New Zealand. But there is equally, as we can see, a rapid move up the value curve. We're seeing that with UHT milks and the likes. We're seeing it everything from nutraceuticals. In the ICT and services sector, generally seeing quite a significant expansion. We've had the manufacturing sector expanding month after month after month, and the member lives in a world where he wants to believe a few things. Unfortunately, the reality does not actually fit with the narrative that he in his own little mind wants to believe is true.
Order.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. I will be reluctant to ask a member to leave the House, but if the member continues to interject with that barrage, then I will be doing so. Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. with regard to manufactured exports, is he proud of his government's record of simplifying our export economy, given the 19% fall in real terms of the value of manufactured exports since the national government took office? Real statistics, real facts.
Order.
Just try dealing with them, Mr.
Order.
Prime Minister.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, OK, we'll deal with the facts. $50 billion worth of goods were exported over the last 12 months out of New Zealand. Mr Speaker, I tell you the way to kill those export markets. That is, 1, stop signing free trade agreements. Oh yes, that's the Green Party policy. 2,
Order.
add a capital gains tax.
Order. It's not necessary for the member to be commenting on Green Party policy. Point of order.
Mr Speaker, in relation to the answer, it is actually germane if the member is going to ask a question about a specific point about our strategy for growing the economy. It's quite fair and right actually to contrast.
Order. I've heard enough from the Prime Minister. On many of the questions we've had so far, members themselves have asked for comment on policies of the Labor Party and the Green Party, and in that case I'll be perfectly accepting of an answer that makes comment on those particular policies. But on this particular case, the question did not raise any other political party's policy. On that basis, I'm not accepting the answer. Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is the best way to add value to our exports to simply to produce more and to pollute more, or is it investing in manufacturing and ICT and innovation, a smarter, greener alternative? And if so, why is the government cutting spending on research and development and science according to the government's own projections, as confirmed by the Parliamentary Library document that his members stopped me tabling?
Order. Right, Honourable Prime Minister, either of those
the member's question was quite instructive, actually, because his argument was that to produce more, you have to pollute more. On this side of the House, we actually totally and utterly disagree with that. But it does show what the member is thinking, and that is, of course, if you want to pollute less, which is something we accept the Green Party want to do, you have to produce less. And boy, will they be producing less if the Greens ever assume the Treasury benches.
Supplementary question, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How does the Prime Minister expect New Zealand to move towards a smarter economy when New Zealand's investment in research and development has barely lifted as a proportion of GDP during National's government and languishes at only 54% of the OECD average, and according to government projections is going to drop even further?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the member is wrong. I'm not surprised the member is using dodgy numbers because most of his policies are backed up by dodgy numbers. But, Mr Speaker, this is the way to grow the New Zealand economy, and that is follow the prescription that the national government has been in the last 6 years we've been here. Have a tax system that actually encourages investment, something this government's been doing. Sign free trade agreements so that we have better access to international markets, something this government's been doing. Invest in science and innovation, something this government's been doing. Invest in skills, something this government's been doing. Make sure, Mr Speaker, invest in infrastructure, something this government's been doing. Mr Speaker, make sure our businesses face less regulation and less red tape, something this government's been doing. Mr Speaker, make sure that our businesses face a fair carbon tax, not something that's disproportionate to what's happening around the world. Mr Speaker, this government...
Order. That answer now is quite... Supplementary question, right, Honourable Winston.
I ask the Prime Minister, if any of what he's just said in his answers this afternoon are correct, how does he explain two things? And Big Ears, you can help out as well.
Order. Just ask the question.
Well, how does he explain two things if any of that is true? One, the growing nervousness of the National Party backbench, and two, the internal polls of the National Party showing him well behind where they were this far out from the 2011 election.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker.
Order. I have a particular interest in listening to the answer.
Mr Speaker, if the member genuinely believes that the National backbench is demonstrating nervousness then what I think the members should do is look left, because out there, they're terrified, buddy.
Order. 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 Members will resume. Members will resume their seat. I'm on my feet. Now, I gather there's a point of order from the Right Honourable Winston Peters. It will be heard in...
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Look, Mr Speaker, I cannot let a misnomer like that start running, and the Prime Minister must not call someone buddy in the House.
Order. The member now will resume his seat, because that is not a point of order. Question number 3, John Hayes.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What